Hi, we're back again for another quick episode of Marriage 911. And today I want to talk to you very briefly about what's called the 5 love languages. Dr. Gary Chapman has an excellent book out there called The 5 Love Languages. It's been around now for, it must be well over a decade and then some. I remember Andy and I first reading that. She read it to me while we were driving in the car. And from that point on, it really transformed a lot of the way that we communicate love for one another. Because here's the thing, and as you come to understand these 5 love languages, you'll understand this a little bit more. We communicate love, and sometimes that isn't received by the person that we're communicating it to, and we wonder, what are we doing wrong? Why don't they get it? I love you, but they're not hearing us say, I love you in a language that they understand. It's kind of like if I spoke Spanish, she spoke Russian, and we didn't have an interpreter in between us. We might talk and say a lot of things, but neither one of us gets the message. Well, those 5 love languages, and they are words of affirmation, little gifts of trinkets and things, quality time spent together, the act of physical touch, and then also acts of service. Those 5 things. And of course, you can vary those any number of ways. But those 5 ways of communicating love are kind of the base 5 love languages. And we're actually going to pick those apart a little bit over the next several weeks. If you go to my blog, you'll see from a post about a year ago, I did a whole series on this. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them here each time. I just want to touch on them very quickly and then kind of unpack it a little bit for you. What those are. But here's the thing that you need to know today as part of what I want to share with you. You need to discover both what your love language is, and by the way, you will have a primary love language. You will also possibly have a secondary love language, and you're online, so obviously you have the internet. You could go to any number of places to do an evaluation of the 5 love languages and put in the information, and it will tell you based on their assessment what your love languages are, and you'll see scores there, and you can find those online. Just Google 5 love languages survey and you'll locate that. But you need to know what yours is. You also need to know, have some idea of what your partner's is, what your spouse's love language is, because here's the thing, as is the case with Andy and I, our love languages aren't the same. And so when I communicate love for her, and believe me when I say this, I love her with my whole heart. I love her more than I love anyone else on the planet. But sometimes when I communicate that in my own love language, she's not hearing that as clearly as I'd want her to anyway. And so it's important for me to know her love language so that I can then communicate that love to her. And in this case, her love language is quality time and acts of service. Those are very closely related depending on the day and I guess her workload, if she needs more from me one day than another. So her love languages are quality time and acts of service, whereas mine are words of affirmation and physical touch. And so if I try to love her in my love language, yeah, she may feel appreciated, she may feel loved, but it's not as fully loved as I really want her to feel and as she can feel if I spend the time and invest in really making sure that she knows I love her in her love language. And so I'm not going to spend much more time on that today. I want to just challenge you. Look up somewhere online 5 love languages. You can order the book. I would recommend that highly at cbd.com or amazon.com. You can find it. It's called The 5 Love Languages. It's been done now in a number of different ways. They've got the 5 love languages of the teenager now, and 5 love languages of apology, and several other things that are out there as well. But this is a purple book. You'll know it right away. 5 love languages, and I promise you, if you'll read it, it may just transform how you communicate love in your relationship and in your marriage. This is Dave Bentley. I'm looking forward to our next episode of Marriage 911 as we start to unpack those 5 love languages a little bit. God bless.